Okay.
Hello students, this is chapter number 6, lecture number 4 we are going to discuss in molecular basis of inheritance. So in the molecular basis we were seeing about structure of a nucleotide in previous class. So a nucleotide is made up of sugar, nitrogenous base and phosphoric acid. In the previous lecture, I was telling you about construction of a nucleotide chain also. How to construct a polynucleotide chain we have seen in the previous class. In any nucleotide, there will be a centrally located sugar molecule present here. And to the first carbon atom of the sugar molecule, a nitrogenous base will be attached, remember. To the fifth carbon atom, phosphoric acid will be attached. So this is becoming a sugar nucleotide, a complete nucleotide. This nitrogenous base may be either adenine or guanine or cytosine. Thymine or uracil will be depending upon the nature of the sugar molecule. If the sugar molecule is deoxyribose sugar, here uracil cannot be found. If the sugar is ribose sugar, here thymine will not be found. That is the point we have discussed already. So this is one nucleotide. This is another nucleotide, remember, where another nitrogenous base is attached and here phosphoric acid is present. I told you already there are some bonds giving stability for this chain. We will discuss about that bond here also. This is the third nucleotide with phosphoric acid and one nitrogenous base. Recall this point. Fourth nucleotide with a sugar molecule and phosphoric acid. Here one nitrogenous base, like this. We can go on add hundreds of nucleotides here and form a polynucleotide chain. In this polynucleotide chain, there are different type of bonds operating for the sake of stability. Remember, here between sugar and nitrogenous base, N-glycosidic bond is present. Between sugar and phosphoric acid, phosphoester bond is present. And already I told you one more point, between this sugar and the successive sugar molecule, there will be a bond formation here. Third carbon atom of the first sugar molecule will combine with fifth carbon atom of the successive sugar molecule for forming a phosphodiester bond. So here one phosphodiester bond, here one phosphodiester bond, like that. Many bonds are formed. We are getting a complete chain in this case. This is a polynucleotide chain. Remember, here if deoxyribose sugar is present, we can call it as a DNA polynucleotide chain. If ribose sugar is present, it can be belonging to RNA actually. Okay. Now, another interesting point we have to learn in this case. If at all, if you observe this first nucleotide here, first nucleotide, if you observe means, the topmost nucleotide will be having phosphoric acid alone. There won't be further formation of phosphodiester bond here. The fifth carbon atom of the first sugar molecule will remain vacant. It will no longer form any phosphodiester bond. Why? Because there is no more sugar molecule present at the top again. When we come to the last sugar molecule, imagine this is the last sugar molecule of this chain means. Here in the last sugar molecule, third carbon atom will remain vacant, remember. Because it will no longer form a phosphodiester bond since there is no successive sugar molecule present here. So what do you understand from this chain? It has got polarity. Remember this word, polarity. A phosphodiester bond will create, otherwise in a polynucleotide chain we can come across polarity. Polarity means they at one end 5 prime end is vacant, we are telling. At another end, bottom 3 prime end will be vacant in this case. So we can chemically say that this polynucleotide chain exhibits 5 prime, 3 prime polarity, we can say here. So this chain is called 5 prime, 3 prime polarity chain, it can be called. Why? Because in the topmost nucleotide, 5th carbon atom is vacant. Of course, it is with phosphoric acid, but no phosphodiester bond. In the lowermost nucleotide, there is no further phosphodiester bond. 3rd carbon atom becomes vacant. Since 5 and 3 are vacant, it will be called 5 prime, 3 prime polarity, it can be called. So you can understand now how efficiently we used the sugar molecule. There are 5 carbon atoms. Out of the 5 carbon atoms, first one combines with nitrogenous base. Second one tells us whether it is ribose sugar or deoxyribose sugar. Third one will form phosphodiester bond. Fourth one will give stability. Fifth one will join with the phosphoric acid or phosphate group. So all the 5 carbon atoms in a pentose sugar have been efficiently utilized. Okay. Now let me come to another important aspect which we have seen in the previous class also. The structure of DNA cannot be just predicted as a diagram or something, because it is a biochemical molecule. Even though Friedrich Miescher discovered nuclein several years ago, only after some 84-85 years afterwards, Watson and Crick could produce or could elucidate the model of DNA actually. So nuclein was discovered very earlier, but he could not proceed further. Who? Friedrich Miescher. Later, 2 or 3 more scientists have contributed some idea for the DNA structure. One of them is called as Franklin, you may remember, Wilkins and Franklin, Rosalind Franklin and Wilkins. So, this Wilkins and Franklin, these 2 scientists, they have done X-ray diffraction study over the DNA molecule. What experiment they did? They did X-ray diffraction study. Based on the X-ray diffraction study on DNA molecule, they proposed 2 ideas, or they proposed 2 points here regarding DNA. What is that means? In every DNA molecule, therefore every 3.4 nanometer distance, it will produce a complete twist. One complete twist will be made by the DNA molecule for every 3.4 nanometer. This complete twist refers to 360-degree rotation. So it can otherwise be called as a pitch of the DNA, we can say. DNA pitch it can be called. Similarly, they gave one more idea about DNA structure. That is, 2 nanometer is the diameter of the DNA. They proposed another idea. The diameter of the DNA is how much? 2 nanometer. They came to a conclusion. This is regarding Wilkins and Franklin. Okay. Through X-ray diffraction, they proposed these 2 ideas. Later, one more scientist called Erwin Chargaff studied the DNA molecule and he proposed some ideas regarding their molecular structure. So DNA is a biochemical molecule. About that biochemical molecule, Erwin Chargaff also made some contribution. He proposed one idea called base equivalence rule. This was proposed by students. Base equivalence rule was proposed by Chargaff. According to Chargaff, he told that number of purines will be equal to number of pyrimidines in a DNA molecules. So purines and pyrimidines will be equal to each other. That is called base equivalence rule proposed by Chargaff. So based on these ideas, we have to propose the DNA structure. That is what done by Watson and Crick. So I am going to explain you about Watson and Crick model of DNA. Very important 5-mark question. We will continue about that in 10 seconds. Just make note. Okay. Students, you have understood what is called polarity. So a polynucleotide chain is able to exhibit polarity. 5' 3' polarity it is called. Let us come to the duplex model of DNA proposed by Watson and Crick. Actually, Watson and Crick study or model was based on the Wilkin, Franklin and Chargaff ideas only. So based on those ideas, by taking all those ideas, Watson and Crick have proposed the structure of DNA molecule. So this is Watson and Crick DNA model, it can be called. Model of DNA. A important 5-mark question. This DNA or of DNA it can be called. It is otherwise known as duplex model of DNA it can be called. Duplex model. In 1953 only it was proposed by Watson and Crick. Very much later after Frederick Meister. Okay. A duplex model, according to why it is called a duplex model, what is the speciality of this duplex model means? When they studied the X-ray diffraction work and Chargaff equivalence rule, everything, Watson and Crick proposed the first point that a DNA molecule is made up of 2 polynucleotide chains. That is the first point they proposed. A DNA molecule is made up of not one chain, it is made up of 2 polynucleotide chains. That is the first point we have to remember in a DNA structure. So according to Watson and Crick, a DNA is not made up of one chain, it is made up of 2 polynucleotide chain. So if at all we take this as one chain, there must be another chain here actually. So there are 2 polynucleotide chain according to Watson and Crick. Second point we have to remember is these 2 chains are wound around an imaginary axis into a helical staircase like structure. So they are wound, these 2 chains are wound around, or wound means coiled we can say. They are coiled around an imaginary axis. They are coiled around an imaginary axis to produce double helix, otherwise a helical staircase like structure we can say. So these 2 chains are wound around an imaginary axis like a helical staircase. This is one chain, this is another chain. They are coiled around an imaginary axis so that they will become a helical staircase. That is the second point proposed by Watson and Crick. Third point we have to remember here is, in this helical staircase, sugar molecule and phosphate groups are forming the backbone of the helix. Please remember, a staircase. In that staircase, 2 sides we will have a rail, otherwise a backbone of the staircase it can be called. So sugar and phosphate forms the backbone of the helix. whereas nitrogen bases form the steps of the helix, we can remember here. So third point is backbone of the DNA molecule. That means the basic structure acts is like that. The backbone is made up of sugar molecule and phosphoric acid in it. Whereas the steps of the DNA molecule, they are made up of nitrogenous bases, we can say here. So they are made up of nitrogenous bases. Steps are made up of nitrogen base, whereas the backbone is made up of sugar and phosphate. So listen, this sugar, this phosphate, they will form the backbone. Steps will be rolling or towards the facing inside. They will be projecting inside. They will form the, what is that, staircase, otherwise steps of that staircase. So, first point is DNA is made up of two polynucleotide chains. Second point is they are wound around an imaginary axis into a helical staircase. Third point is the backbone is made up of sugar and phosphoric acid, whereas the steps are made up of nitrogenous bases. Steps are made up of nitrogenous bases. Remember this point. Let us go to other points related to duplex model here. Okay, please listen. Let me rub this now at present. Later we will continue the drawing. Listen. The fourth point we have to remember related to Watson and Crick model is the two chains are, the two strands are anti-parallel to each other. This is the important idea proposed by Watson and Crick. The two strands of DNA molecule are anti-parallel to each other. That is another important point proposed by Watson and Crick. What is meant by anti-parallelity? Imagine now, if one of the chain is facing upwardly, where 5' end will be here, 3' end will be here. The opposite chain, already I told you it is made up of two chains. The opposite chain will be facing downwardly according to Watson and Crick. When they face downwardly, this will become 3' end, this will become 5' end. Remember this point. So when one chain is facing upwardly, another chain is facing downwardly. This condition is called as what is that? Anti-parallelity, we can say. That is the important idea proposed by Watson and Crick. Why? What is the importance here? What is the significance of anti-parallelity means? Imagine, in this chain, this is the sugar molecule. Here nitrogenous base is present. When this chain is facing downwardly, the sugar molecule will be facing downwardly. Do you get my point? I will draw this point only here. Imagine, this is one sugar molecule, where first carbon atom is here, fifth carbon atom is here with the phosphoric acid. With the first carbon atom, there will be nitrogen base or adenine, we shall say here. This is one chain. Here, fifth carbon atom is vacant, so 5' end it can be called. What about this one means? Opposite chain. Here, the sugar molecule will be facing downwardly. That is called anti-parallelity. They are not parallel like a railway track. It is an anti-parallel direction. This sugar molecule is facing downwardly. Please listen carefully. In this downwardly facing sugar molecule, this is the first carbon atom. This is the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one is here. Imagine this point. Now, with the first carbon atom, one nitrogenous base will be present. Here nitrogenous base, here phosphoric acid, like that they will be arranged. What is the advantage of anti-parallelity means? Nitrogen bases are brought closer to each other because of anti-parallelity. Imagine if both of them are facing upwardly, parallel means this side nitrogenous base, but this side phosphoric acid will come. Between phosphoric acid and nitrogen base, no bond formation is possible. So the two chains will become unstable if at all they are parallel. Are you understanding my point? Very important point. If the two chains are parallel, DNA will become unstable. That's why they proposed an idea that it is an anti-parallel molecule. When they are anti-parallel to each other, nitrogenous bases are brought closer to each other. So if at all we want to shake hand with a person, we should face each other. Simply we cannot turn one side, that person turning another side, there will not be any bond formation. Here, nitrogen bases will form a bond by in this anti-parallel condition. There comes the intelligence of Watson and Crick. First point itself shows the intelligence of Watson and Crick. DNA is not made up of single strand, it is made up of two strands. They are wound around an imaginary axis like a helical staircase. Here they proved X-ray diffraction because for every 3.4 nanometer there will be coiling, there will be one turn we studied. So that also they proved here by taking a helical structure. They did not propose a straight structure for DNA molecule. They told it is a helical staircase. Third point is backbone of the DNA must be made up of sugar and phosphate like this. Whereas in the center or projecting inwardly, there will be nitrogenous bases like this. Those nitrogenous bases will be formed otherwise the two chains are anti-parallel. Because of anti-parallelity, nitrogen bases are brought opposite to each other, closer to each other, so that they can form a bond between them. Stability for the DNA molecule is obtained by this method. Let me elaborate this point once again, or in the fifth point again here. In these two polynucleotide chains, adenine will always pair with thymine only. Another idea proposed by Watson and Crick is adenine base present in one chain will always pair with thymine base only. If this is adenine, opposite there will be thymine only. It will not join with any other cytosine, guanine like that. So adenine will pair with whom? Thymine only. How they will pair means by means of two hydrogen bonds they will be pairing here. Between adenine and opposite thymine there will be two hydrogen bonds created. I am introducing fourth bond here. Already we have seen N-glycosidic bond, phosphoester bond, phosphodiester bond. Now I am talking about hydrogen bond. So in a DNA molecule, how many types of bonds we can observe? There will be N-glycosidic bond between sugar and nitrogenous base. There will be phosphoester bond between sugar and phosphate group. There will be phosphodiester bond between one sugar molecule and successive sugar molecule. Now we are talking about hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bonds are formed between two opposite nitrogen bases. If adenine is there, it will pair with thymine only. If at all guanine is there, imagine if guanine is there, it will pair with what is that? Cytosine only. So guanine will pair with the cytosine only. Adenine will pair with the thymine only. Between adenine and the thymine, there will be two hydrogen bonds existing. Between guanine and cytosine, there will be three hydrogen bonds existing there. What is the purpose of hydrogen bond? They give stability for that anti-parallel strand. So here three hydrogen bond, here two hydrogen bond. We can put a question now here. Why adenine cannot combine with cytosine? Because they are chemically do not react with each other. These two bases cannot share their hydrogen bond. It is able to share three hydrogen bond, but this will have only two hydrogen valency. So these two cannot, adenine and cytosine cannot join. Guanine and thymine cannot join. Chemically they are non-reactive. But between adenine and thymine, 2 hydrogen bonds are possible. Between guanine and cytosine, 3 hydrogen bases are possible. Now listen, I introduce one more terminology here. Since adenine can combine with thymine only, these two are called complementary bases. Adenine can pair with thymine only. They are complementary to each other. Guanine can pair with cytosine only. So they are complement to each other. That is called complementarity. Watson and Crick introduced the idea of complementarity also here. By introducing the idea of complementarity, they obeyed Chargaff rule also. Try to get this point. They have proved, their model is obeying experimental evidence proposed by Chargaff. Just now I told you about Chargaff rule. Purines of number of purines are equal to number of pyrimidines. Remember students, adenine and guanine are purines. You may be recalling that. Cytosine and thymine are pyrimidines. So I can write one formula here. Adenine and guanine will always be equal to thymine and cytosine. Remember this point. This is called complementarity. Adenine and guanine, these are purines. Cytosine and thymine, these are pyrimidines. So adenine and guanine are equal to cytosine and thymine. This is called complementarity. Remember this point. Please, there will be many questions confusing based on this complementarity nature. You should not write A plus T is equal to G plus C. That is wrong. A plus G can be T plus C. But A can be equal to T. G can be equal to cytosine. Number of guanine, number of cytosine are equal. Number of adenine, number of thymine are equal. But A plus G means purines will be equal to pyrimidines. Do you understand this point? This is called complementarity proposed by Watson and Crick. If you write these 5 points, you will be getting 5 marks. An important 5-mark question it is. This is the structure of duplex model of DNA proposed by Watson and Crick. I hope you got this point. Adenine will pair with thymine only. Guanine will pair with cytosine only. And this nature is called complementarity. For this complementarity, there are significant advantages that I will explain you later for a 2-mark question. So students, let me just to recall this point related to duplex model of DNA. Please listen. First point is DNA is made up of 2 polynucleotide chains. Second point, they wound around an imaginary axis like a helical staircase, otherwise like an helix here. Their backbone is made up of sugar and phosphate, whereas their steps are made up of nitrogenous bases. That means nitrogen bases project inwardly, sugar and phosphate form the outline border of a strand here. Very important point is these 2 strands are anti-parallel to each other. Why they must be anti-parallel? Then only nitrogenous bases of opposite strands can be brought closer to each other. I should face this side, another person should face to me. When we shift direction, then only we can become stable. So here also, nitrogen bases are brought closer to each other so that bond formation can be formed, stability can be attained. That is the speciality of anti-parallel nature. So that is the intelligence given by Watson and Crick. When we come to another point, when nitrogenous bases are brought closer to each other, adenine base will combine with thymine only by forming 2 hydrogen bonds. So between adenine and thymine, 2 hydrogen bonds are present. Guanine base will join with cytosine, will pair with cytosine only. with the help of 3 hydrogen bonds. So between G and C there will be 3 hydrogen bonds. This kind of pairing is called complementarity pairing. Why this is called complementarity? Adenine cannot pair with cytosine. Guanine cannot pair with thymine. They are already fixed. That is, that ability to pair with a particular molecule is called complementarity. So base equivalence rule is also obeyed through Watson and Crick model. Here by this wound around an imaginary axis, they proved that it is 3.4 nanometer twist like that. That is called the Franklin and Wilkins model also. And this is forming a twist. Remember, for every 3.4 nanometer, that helical staircase will form a twist, we can see. This is a 5-mark question. 5 points you have to write. Then you have to draw a diagram. In your textbook, this kind of diagram is also given, where sugar and phosphoric acid will be the backbone. Nitrogen base will be here like this, we can give. I will draw the same diagram in an elaborate manner. Another diagram is also given in your textbook with new molecular nature and everything. Let me draw that one after half a minute. Make note of these points. Be fast. Students, duplex model is asked in 5-mark question means you should write these 5 points. First point is DNA is made up of 2 polynucleotide chain. Second point is they are wound around an imaginary axis. For every 3.4 nanometer they will form a complete twist. Third point is backbone of the helix is made up of sugar and phosphate, whereas steps are made up of nitrogen bases. Fourth point is the 2 strands are running anti-parallel. Anti-parallel means one chain is 5 prime 3 prime, another chain is 3 prime 5 prime. For fifth point is because of anti-parallelity, nitrogen bases are brought closer to each other. Due to that, adenine can pair with thymine only, guanine can pair with cytosine only. That ability is called complementarity of bases. Because of complementarity, we make purines are equal to pyrimidines, so that we obey Chargaff rule also. Scientifically or experimentally also it is proved. At the same time, an theoretical model was also based on this experimental evidence. For this purpose, Watson and Crick got a Nobel Prize actually. Around the year 1963 like that, they got Nobel Prize. They shared that Nobel Prize with Wilkins for their X-ray diffraction input, we can say. So, this is the structure of a DNA molecule. Same structure. I can draw another diagram which is very important one. You can understand the point clearly here. Same thing only for explaining complementarity. I will draw this diagram. Okay? Listen to me. In 1953 they proposed the model. In around 1960s, they got the Nobel Prize for this proposal also. Suppose, listen here. These are 2 chains I want to draw here. Imagine this is one chain of DNA molecule where a sugar molecule is present here and a phosphate group is present here. Here we can draw a nitrogen base. Suppose if the nitrogen base is adenine, its 9th carbon atom will combine here. Remember this point. Let me draw a second sugar molecule here. Second sugar molecule. Another phosphate group I am drawing. Let us consider one more nitrogen base is facing inside here. Okay, this is the backbone, this is the staircase, steps. Here a guanine is present, imagine. Guanine is also a type of, what is that? Purine only. Okay. Let me come to the third sugar molecule or third nucleotide. It is attached with a phosphoric acid. Here one thymine is present, means thymine is a pyrimidine, single ringed structure. Let us go for fourth nucleotide also. Sugar molecule, phosphoric acid. Here one type of, what is that? Cytosine is present, imagine. This is the cytosine like this. So 4 nucleotides I drew. Among these 4 nucleotides, there will be phosphodiester bond formed here. Is it or not? So this will become a polynucleotide chain. I can draw hundreds of nucleotides also here. This chain is facing upwardly. That means this top end is called 5' end, we can see. This is called 5' end. This is the lowermost end here. This is known as 3' end, we can say. So this chain is having the 5', 3' polarity. Let me come to another chain. Opposite, there must be 2 chains, there must be another chain. What Watson and Crick told is that as opposite chain should be facing downwardly. Otherwise, anti-parallelly they should be arranged. That means, let me draw the another chain here with an imaginary axis like this. When I draw an imaginary axis like this, sugar molecule will become here. This is the sugar molecule. I hope you got this point. Here the sugar molecule is facing upwardly, here it is facing downwardly. This will become first carbon atom, second, third, fourth, fifth. Fifth carbon atom will have phosphoric acid or phosphate group. First carbon atom will have nitrogen base. Here comes the point now. If opposite bond base is adenine, here what will be present means thymine only will be present. No other nucleotide can come and pair here because here hydrogen bond should be formed. So I am drawing a thymine base. Imagine this is thymine. Thymine is a pyrimidine. This is a purine. Between this purine and pyrimidine, 2 hydrogen bonds will be created. This is N-glycosidic bond. This is phosphoester bond. This is phosphodiester bond. This one is a hydrogen bond. Adenine and thymine will produce hydrogen bond. Dear students, this is the second sugar molecule. This will be the phosphoric acid here. Okay, here nitrogen base. What will be the nitrogen base? This will be, this nitrogen base will be a cytosine. Between them, 3 hydrogen bonds are possible actually. Let us come to the third sugar molecule. Here phosphoric acid is present here. Here opposite to adenine, thymine, who will become? Adenine will be formed. Adenine will be present here. This adenine will be a 9 carbon, otherwise purine base. Between adenine and thymine, what will be there? 2 hydrogen bonds will be present. Do you get the best pairing here? This is 2 hydrogen bond between adenine and thymine. Between guanine and cytosine, 3 bonds, again adenine and thymine. Let me come to the fourth sugar molecule facing downwardly. Here phosphoric acid. Here there will be nitrogen base. This is cytosine, means this one will be, what is that? Guanine actually. So G I am putting, it is a guanine. Between guanine and cytosine, 3 hydrogen bonds will be formed. Here guanine and cytosine, here also like this. Still they are not stable. So I have to form a bond between third carbon atom and fifth carbon. This is the phosphodiester bond. Here also phosphodiester bond, here also phosphodiester bond. Remember, when this chain is 5', 3', this chain will be exhibiting the 3 prime here, 5 prime here. Do you get my point? One of the chains is 5 prime, 3 prime. Another chain will be in 3 prime, 5 prime direction. This is called anti-parallelity, and between them there will be hydrogen bonds here. The backbone is made up of sugar and phosphoric acid, sugar and phosphoric acid like this, whereas the steps are made up of nitrogen bases like this. These are the nitrogen bases. In order to bring the two nitrogen bases opposite to each other, this chain becomes anti-parallel. Because of what? A hydrogen bond, they become the important point. Now, let me tell you one interesting aspect related to this complementary bases. Listen here. Because of complementarity, two important ideas or two important significance we are getting. The first one you can remember here is significance of complementarity. I am telling here. Here 2 more question. Significance of complementarity. Because of complementarity, if at all one base number of adenine is known in a DNA chain, means we can automatically count or automatically tell the number of thymine. If we know the number of guanine, we can actually tell the number of cytosine also. This becomes one NEET exam question or a CET exams also. Suppose imagine a DNA molecule contains 100 nucleotides. Imagine out of 100 nucleotides, 20 are adenine, means what will be the number of cytosine? They will ask a question. If adenine is 20, what will be the number of cytosine? They will ask. Because of complementarity, adenine will pair with thymine only, means thymine will also be 20 only. This is 20, this is 20. 40 bases have gone. Remaining how much? 100 minus 40 means 60. In that 60, automatically 30 will be guanine, 30 will be cytosine. That is the point we have to remember. 20 adenine means 20 thymine. Then there will be remaining 30 will be guanine, 30 will be cytosine, we can say. So if one base is given, you can deduct the number of other bases also by this mechanism. That is the advantage of complementarity, we can see. There is second advantage also. First advantage is you can count the number of nucleotides. Second advantage is when DNA undergoes replication, remember this point, it will produce two chains. One is parental chain, another opposite to that daughter chain will be produced. So during replication, production of daughter chain will be identical with the parental chain, because if parental chain has got a thymine, it will produce another adenine chain, it will pair with another adenine chain only. If parental chain is cytosine, it will pair with another guanine only. So we can predict the daughter molecule also. In replication, detailed study we will do here. Now remember what is the point I have to tell you is complementarity helps to identify number of nucleotide. That's the first point. Second point is complementarity helps for understanding replication also. So if there is no complementarity, DNA will not produce identical copies. Remember, this is regarding the Watson and Crick model. Very important 5-mark question. All the 5 points you have to remember. What is complementarity? What is anti-parallelity? Everything we have to recall here. Let me continue later in the next class.